Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Excel Must Know Speed Trick session. My name is David Benaim. Great. Shall I go, or do you want to intro?
Yeah.
Us?
Hello, our next speaker is David Benaim. So just to mix up, we got the timing mixed up, but the better late than never. At least he's with us for the ultimate session of Excel Virtually Global 2025. So David is a Microsoft MVP who combines a love for spreadsheets with a touch of humor, has trained thousands of people in Excel through in-person sessions, webinars, and his popular YouTube channel where he shares tutorials on Excel and other tech tools. He's also taken his passion for spreadsheets to the stage, performing stand-up comedy about Excel at the Edinburgh Fringe and other festivals. In this session, David will share practical techniques to help you work faster and more efficiently in Excel with a few clever shortcuts you'll wish you'd known sooner. Over to you, David, and entertain us, I should say, or instruct us. I believe it will be both. So over to you. Thanks.
Great. Yeah, thanks for the intro. So this is some speed up tricks that I think are super useful and super important to know in Excel. And I worked really hard on these, so I reckon there is something here for the casual users, something for the experts, and even something for the people who can't believe there is life outside of Excel. I will teach you something. Okay, so yeah, I've already had an intro. I'm a Microsoft MVP, done corporate training for over 3,000 people. I do a lot of public speaking about spreadsheets, and I do stand-up comedy as well. And yeah, as you mentioned, I did the show at Edinburgh Fringe. And next year, I'm hoping to do an Excel comedy and mathematics show in a few other places, applying for Adelaide Fringe in Australia in March. So that'll be the first one, and then maybe France, maybe Scotland again. So you can also follow me as the Excel Comedian on Instagram, as well as my YouTube channel, which is David Benaim, and I have over 21,000 subscribers. So we're going to look at Excel must-know speed-up tricks. I'm just going to, yeah, okay. Excel must-know speed-up tricks. So we're going to start with number format automation. Then we're going to go into formula and pivot shortcuts. We're going to go into data setup, shortcuts, and automation, arranging data, and some quick wins, and get through this all in an hour. This is going to be a very demo-heavy session, so I'm just going to be showing you these things. And yeah, if you can, feel free to interrupt me if you have any questions. I like taking questions as I go rather than all the questions at the end. So yeah, let me know if that is okay. Good. All right. So yeah, let's go into the demo segment. So here we have some countries like this. I actually live in Southeast Asia. I live in Cambodia, which one? This one. And these are all the Southeast Asian countries. So if you want to look at, for example, number by area, it is never a good idea to look at a large number with just the numbers like that, because our brain is just not very good at being able to decipher exactly what number that is, whereas it's much better if we have a comma. The problem is that the default to get the comma style will actually get you with a decimal point, 0.00. No one ever wants that, and it's so tedious to have to click on this. See, I always get it wrong. Let me know if you're someone that always does the wrong one accidentally as well, because it happens to me all the time. So yeah, so it's tedious. What you really want is this. This is the best way to do it, and there is no quick way of getting that. However, there are a couple of workarounds that we'll get to in a second. Again, with population, you have the same idea, so it's much better to get it like this. You could also, though, get it to show in millions and in thousands like that, using special number formatting. And dates number formatting, this is kind of annoying. because you get dates that look like this. I find the best way to do dates is like this, 3 letters for the month. As long as you're a native English speaker, this will work well. And if you pick this up and you live in Texas, you'll be able to understand this as the 27th of October. Or this one, you'll be able to, if you pick this up in Texas, you'll be able to understand that as the 7th of August. You pick it up in Dublin, you'll be able to also understand that as the 7th of August. This one, completely different story. Depending where you are, you'll read that differently. The problem is the default Excel number formats are this one and this one. I mean, this is ridiculous. Who would ever want a date format that is this long? I just don't know why this is one of the defaults. The one that you want is like this. And then you have, so then you have the dollar formats. The dollar formats, in my opinion, also take up way too much space, or the currency one. However, there is a way to make the dollar format slightly better like this. So we're going to look at a couple of these things. So dates, interesting. Dates, one of the most important shortcuts you can learn, especially if you deal with US and UK style dates, is this one, Control, Shift, and hashtag. Control, Shift, and hashtag will get you that date format, which is the optimal in my opinion. Why it is not in the list, I don't know, but that is, in my opinion, what the optimal one is. Save this one as complete so I don't overwrite it. And here we go. So you actually have date number format shortcuts. If you press Control Shift and 1, 2, 3, so above 1 you get the exclamation point, above 2 you get the @ sign, above 3 you get the hash symbol on US keyboards anyway, above 4 you get currency, above 5 you get %. So really, really useful. I use this all the time. Control Shift 5, Control Shift % will make numbers into a %. Control Shift $ will make them into dollar values like that. Control Shift 3 will make them into dates, not useful there. 3 is if you have the hash above 3. 2 is time, I never use that. 1 is like that comma style, same as this one, which is still not great because you get the 0.00. And even the one to the left of 1, Control Shift and tilde will get you the general date formatting. So that's how you can get this showing like that. And these are the ones I like, 1, 3, 4, and 5. I think these are pretty useful. Now, if you do want to show your numbers as millions, and let's do that for population over here. So here we have some code that I've written, and you can copy this, and then you can send some numbers and go to more number formatting options this way. Go to custom and paste this in. I'm not going to explain what all of these mean. Essentially, this is putting the M word in speech marks to say it's text, and double comma means it's going to, each comma skips 3 zeros. So double comma means it skips 6 zeros. The first one is for positive numbers, this is for negatives, and this is for zeros, and that will give you 6 million. And if you expand it, you can actually get the decimal places as well, which is useful there. If you want the Ks, this is the way to do Ks. As you can see, there's only 1 comma before K in speech marks. And yeah, there are some other nuances as well with the zeros and the hashes, but I won't go through these in this quick session. You can look it up if that is something you're interested in. But if I paste that there, press OK, and it will get me the K symbols like that as well. If you are macro savvy, you can also apply macros to essentially make that the number formatting and give it shortcuts. So for me, for example, I've made one. So I make Control M as millions and Control Shift K as thousands, like that. So yeah, so those are ones that you can use. Now here is the one that I bet many people didn't know. So how can we adjust so that I already said the problem? If you want to select some numbers and press this button, then it will give you the decimal places like that, which is never what you want. However, there is a way that you can adjust it so clicking on this will actually not give you the decimals, which I think is invaluable. It saves you a bunch of clicks because this is the best number formatting. So how do you do that? The answer is so hidden. It's actually not in Excel, it's in your Windows. But Windows changed to having settings a few years ago, but this does not even have what we need. What we need is control panel, which is the old system settings that still exist. You can still access it. You can go to control panel and then you choose this one, change date, time, or number formats. And then here, if you go to additional settings, you actually have a default setting for how many decimals, how many digits after decimal. So default is 2. You change this to 0, and then every time you click on dollar or you click on comma style, Excel will change it that way. Now the trick is you need to change it both in numbers and in currency to 0. If you do just one, it doesn't work in both of them. But yeah, that's where you have to switch it. And then you can change a few things like that. I don't think I'd ever change those, but yeah, the way that it shows negatives as well. But change this one, number of digits after decimal. This one is key. When I discovered this, it was just so great for me with speed up tricks. Cool. All right. So next up, we're going to look at some formula and pivot speed up tricks. So here, let's say I want to add together these numbers. You can do equals this cell plus this cell. And then if I drag it down, probably all experience this. You get this annoyance of the border that was at the top that's now is in every cell, and you lost your gray, white alternating formats. However, most people have never clicked on this button. Click on that, check this out, choose fill without formatting. Don't get that problem. Pretty useful, right? Another way, a couple of things to audit formulas is you can actually check which formula is different to the one that we have here. So design divided by build. Here I could write equals this one divided by this one. And I can drag it down. But then some people, and again, I'll do this one, fill without formatting. I know I get my divide by 0 errors. They're annoying. I'll put those in just in case. But let's say someone overwrites something. Let's say someone doesn't like this. They put a 0 instead. And then, of course, it's not linked anymore. And let's say here someone just decides to hard code the number 8 divided by 8 like that. So there is a trick in the Home tab. You have Find and Select, and I love Go To Special. Not many people know this exists. But you can then choose Column Differences. This means select every cell that is different in formula to the first cell in the column. Press OK, and you get these two selected. And just to show, as we said, this one's just a 0, and this one is like that. So, yeah, so that's how you can do it there. So let's say I want to do item price. I'm going to do this one multiplied by this cell here. I'm going to press F4 to lock that cell in. Most of you probably are familiar with how to do that. And then if I want to, instead of dragging down like this, there's a couple of ways that I can speed this up. I can actually double click it and it goes all the way down, or I can actually select the cells and press Control and D for down like that. Great. So once I've done that, I just want to show you a couple of formula auditing tips. So if you select a cell, you get a hover over now with the answer of what that is, or of the whole formula as well, like that. So we'll show you and hover over. That's Microsoft 365 only, which is pretty useful. Adding numbers faster. So if we know you could do equals sum. You can select some cells and close your brackets, but that's not very fast. we definitely do want to speed that up. So what you can do instead is you can press Alt and equals together. I love this shortcut. So Alt equals will give you the answer in just a shortcut. And you can go even further if you actually select, if I delete that, if I select all the rows and all the columns, and I then press the same shortcut, Alt equals, check that out. It gives you all the totals in all the rows and all the and all the columns, which is pretty useful. Cool. So another way you can add things faster is you can pre-select some cells and you can press equals and then do this cell plus this cell. And then instead of pressing enter, if you press control and enter together, check this out. It will give you all of those answers there in one go, which is pretty cool. You could also do equals all of this column plus all of this column. And that will give you the results in this blue outline thing called an array. I'm sure you've had plenty of the sessions show you these kind of arrays in the past, but yeah, those can be faster ways of doing it as well. Pivot tables. So I've got a pre-built pivot table. There are some useful things to know about them. So firstly, if you want to know how people arrived at a certain number in a pivot table, you can double click it and Excel will create a new worksheet with how it got to that number, the breakdown of that data basically, which is pretty good. So double click on any number in the pivot table and you get that. Next up, you have different styles. So in the design tab, you have your standard style looks like this. But if you want to see it in a more tabular format, you can go to this one. I really like the tabular form, and when I do, I tend to repeat all item labels like this, and then you can see it in a more tabular way. You can also manipulate to not show the subtotals, not show the grand totals, etc., etc., and add some blank rows after each line item, things like that. So I really like getting familiar with that. And once you have a style that you like, in Microsoft 365, you can now make this the default. You go to File and Options and Formulas. Forget where this is. Data, yeah. Make changes to the default pivot table layout. And here I can say either import from a selected cell or what to do with each one. So if you are using a lot of pivot tables and you have your preferred way to do it, then yeah, then it works a lot better. Okay. Here's another one. If you're using pivot tables, you probably come across this. You link any cell to a cell in a pivot table, and then you drag it down and you get this really annoying repeated number that is just referring to the same cell, essentially. So this annoys a lot of people a lot of the time, and it annoyed me a lot until I realized it's just a setting that you can turn off. The way to do that is go to File, again go to Options, and then here go to Formulas and untick this box. Use get pivot data functions for pivot table references. Take that tick off, press OK, and then if you press equals and click on a cell, it just has a normal cell reference equals E40, which means if you drag it down, it will just give you that same number. Yeah, nice, great. So yeah. I'm just going to check as yeah, so let me know in the chat or the Q&A if you have anything you want to discuss, but it seems like there's nothing there for now. Keep going. Data setup. So series, you've probably done this. So what happens with the fill series? If you do nothing, it shows you a 1. If you hold down Control it will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as you do that. Otherwise, it will just repeat it. The opposite happens with days of weeks or months of the years. If you just drag it down, it will do the different ones. But if you hold it, it will show you the consistently Monday, etc. And Jan will also change if you have drag it down normally. If you hold down Control, it will hold the same one. Hierarchical data. So here's a thing, you have some hierarchical data, whereas these all relate to beds, these all relate to chairs, these to mirrors, etc. So a quick way that you could do this, it is, once you master it, it takes about 20 seconds, but it is a lot of clicks in sequence. So you first select the cells, but I think this is highly valuable to memorize because there should be an easier way, but there isn't. Select the cells. In the Home tab, choose again, Go to Special. Really love this one. It does so many hidden, neat tricks. And then you choose blanks, and Excel will select every single cell without any data in your pre-selected cells. And then you're now working in the topmost cell, you click equals, then click on the cell just above it. And then instead of pressing enter, like we did before, you press Control and enter together. And you get all of those appearing like that really, really quickly. Lastly, make sure that you convert these to values. In order to do that, select it and copy it. And then paste special and values like this. Paste special values shortcut, Control Shift V. Works on Microsoft 365 and Excel 2024 only, but a really valuable one. Control Shift V. Great. All right. So one thing that I did talk about, show you earlier, was the expand collapse stuff. So this one, expand collapse like this, really, really useful. I think this is so much better than what people usually do, which is hiding. If you hide, then it's very difficult to see unless the person happens to see the double line there. I find the user interface for hide is really bad. So I tend to use grouping instead. The way you do grouping is you select some columns or rows, go to the Data tab, and here Group, and it does that pretty easily. An advanced trick, which I usually use, is how to make the grouping appear on this side. And again, this is kind of weird that the default is on the right side. I think the default should be on the left side. But it's good if you want to expand collapse with a title like this, and you want the plus to be over there. So the way you do that is you click on this thing that doesn't even look like something you can click on, and then you untick the defaults, which is below and right, and now it will appear left and above like that, which I think is a lot better. Perfect. Now you can also do in the same section, you've got something called subtotals. I find that this every now and again is really useful, but some of the times it can cause errors in your data. But I will show you what it does because it is pretty useful. Click on that. And then here you can say add each change in, and you can choose any one of these. So I can say, for example, color, use function sum. Sum is usually what you'd use of sales like that. So at each change in color, actually, let's do furniture because it needs to be sorted first. So let's do furniture, use sum of sales, and press OK. And there it does that, which is pretty good. You've lost the ability to do regular table stuff with it, though. So yeah, you can expand to level 3. So for example, filters won't really work because you've got so many blanks. Sorting won't work. Yeah, in order to sort it, you need to remove it first. Yeah, there you go. It's kind of made some errors there. So I'm going to undo that there. Yeah, so avoid doing subtotal unless you're just doing a final push out, final product. All right, keep going. So text cleanup steps. Over here, let's say that we have some names and we want to extract the given name, the family name, description. So I love flash fill, not used enough. So type in the example, select the cells, go to the data tab and choose this one, flash fill. Look at that, how clean, nice, easy is that? Next up, family name. I'm going to write like that, select some cells and click on this one again. This uses AI. It's machine learning in particular. And here you can see that it did a couple of things that are undesirable. So it did do what I asked it to do, which is take everything after the space. But I don't like that it's uppercase. When there's when there's 3 words in the customer name, I want to take the last 2. So I want to edit this. Now here's the beauty of flash fill. After you've done this, flash fill is live. And when you see this, that means it is live. So if you want to edit it immediately, you can. I can do Evans like that and watch what happens to these ones. How cool is that? I can immediately enter this one. You'll notice also there is a kind of gray outline around all of them, and they've removed the borders in between each row. That means you're editing a flash fill. That's just the user interface to inform you you're doing it. So if I change this one, check out what happens to these 2. Nice. How useful is that? Yeah, I really enjoy that tool. Description. You can also say a description of the whole row. For example, Eva buys games at 21K. And then if we think about what's happening here, I'm actually going into this column. That's 1 transformation, but I'm taking everything before the space. So that's 2. And now I'm adding in buys, which is a custom word. And then I'm going into the product column, which is 3 and 4 now. I'm making it lowercase, so that's 5. I'm adding in at, which is 6 transformations. And then I go into the quantity column to get 21. That's 7, but I take everything before the comma, 8, and I add in K, which is a custom letter. And that gives me 9 transformations. Because you're doing 9 transformations, it means if you're going to do a formula for this, it's going to look like this, which is pretty horrible. However, with flash fill, you can select your cells and you can go to the data tab and choose flash fill, and it will do that for you, which is pretty nice, pretty useful. However, if you don't want that to happen, yeah, there are ways around it as well. You can still edit it when you see this, but it seems like it got all of that right. Note that flash fill will not round numbers, so this is 17,000 rounded, but it's 16K when it's just looking at the characters 1 and 6. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. We can do this with formulas. Some new formulas are text before, text after, so equals text before this cell, and then delimiter being a space will give you that. Drag it down. You have some extra inputs to it. So if I do equals text after, I do this one and then like that, it will give me, when there's 2 spaces, it will give me the last 2 words. However, I could have also said instance number, and if I do -1, it will be the first one from the right, 1 will be the first from the left. The other ones I don't use that much. Got Control D, and now it will give me only the last word. You also have text split, which I really like. So equals text split, and select a cell, press a comma, and then speech marks, speech marks, close my brackets, and I get it like this, and I can drag it down, and now I get it showing me like this in multiple places, multiple columns. Again, this is a dynamic array, which is why you've got the blue outline around it when you click it. All right, good. Some other new formulas that have come out are ways that you can, for example, extract the email, whatever the thing is. So the solution here. So you have these functions called regex extract, which means it can extract something based on really complex criteria. So here it's saying from the text, the cell is C21, and the pattern, the regex pattern, this is saying that extract any combination of letters, lowercase letters, uppercase, numbers, and symbols before an @ symbol, but there must then be another letter, another combination of those, and then a dot, and then another combination of those as well. So it is complex. You don't need to know the code. You can ask ChatGPT or Copilot or Google Gemini or Claude or another tool to help you get the code, because regex has been around for a long, long time with other applications, but it just got introduced to Excel very, very recently. But yeah, I would use one of the coding tools like that, AI tools, and tell it what you want, extract the email, and it will give it to you like this. If there's no email, then it will do that error. But you can still use an if error to avoid that. Copy and paste example speed up tricks. Now we got one more here actually. Let's say you have some dates that are in US format and you want to convert them to European formats. And most people don't know how to do this, but here's what you can do. You can select them, you can go to the data tab, and you can go to text to columns. And the feature I'm about to show you has actually nothing to do with text to columns. They just happen to hide this feature in there. So in text to columns, you can go to next 2 times because you don't actually care about that. And in date, you can choose MDY, month, day, year, which is the source of your data. So this will be August 3/20, August 18/20. And then if you press finish, watch how it switches them, which is pretty good. Yeah, I really like that one. And the other thing that you can do is after that, you can do your Control-Shift-3 to get it in the format that you like I showed you there. All right, we got copy and paste here. So some copy and paste tricks. I know I'm going through these quite fast, but they're not really technically challenging. So hopefully you can rewatch the video at your own pace and test it out yourself, and that should be helpful. So copy and paste examples. So if you want to get rid of all the spaces before text, in between text, and any space after your text in a cell, you can use one function to do all of those things called the equals trim. And you select the cell, close your brackets, and you get that. And drag it down. Now it will remove the ones inside as well. Drag it to the end. Remember your fill without formatting. And now we'll get rid of all of the spaces before in the middle. In the middle, it will reduce it to 1, and then any space afterwards. So just remember that if you are going to do this, deleting the other column is going to cause issues. Control Z, you first want to copy these and paste special them as values. Or Control Shift V, as we said earlier. A couple of things about that. Pasting as values, I find, is less good than it should be. If you paste as values and you have dates, the dates will become numbers, which is stupid because no one ever wants to show dates as numbers. Yes, I realize that Excel stores dates as numbers just so we can get it working. In fact, number 1, if I format this as a date, is Sunday, January 1st, 1900. What happens before that? Well, it is, of course, minus, if I do that one, -0, -1, you get Saturday, the 0th of January, 1900. Yep, this happens. If I do -2, this is an error because Excel is incapable of working with dates before 1900. That's just how it is. But anyway, that was a sidetrack. The point is you never want this to appear like that. So you need to then go to dates again. However, my advice is when you copy, instead of pasting as values, you use this one, paste special and values and number formats. This is what I think should happen by default. It's what Google Sheets does by default when you paste values, because I don't think anyone wants to get rid of the number formats when they paste, especially things like dates or percentages, particularly the dates though, because they get really confusing. There you go, paste values and number formats, and you get that. So you can also combine text by using the ampersand key. So I can say equals this one and this one. Concatenate is a technical word. Drag it down, fill without formatting. But if you want a space, you need to press and speech marks space and speech marks and again. So it's a bit tedious, equals this one. And it's a lot of characters to type just to end up with one end character, which is a space, but it does work the way that you expect. Yeah, that's joining things together. Now, on the concept of joining, though, what I find when people want to link together, for example, cities, they would write equals this one and this one and this one. It gets really tedious to get to your end goal, to list them all out. And it's kind of like if you never had a sum function in Excel, and the only way to add numbers was to do that one plus that one plus that one. Can you imagine how tedious that would be? So instead, now we have a new function, newish, that I really like, called text join. Showed you text split. Text join is to join them. It's the opposite. And you can write equals text join. Actually, there's an easier one first. Let me do array to text is great. You just have the array, so I can just select all of these, close my brackets, and it will give me a comma separated list. And this is really nice. What it doesn't account for is what if you have duplicates or if you have empties. Let's say here I'm going to have an empty here. Then equals text, equals array to text. We'll select all of these like that, but it will give you the double comma, which is not ideal. If you did equals text join, you can, first of all, you can set a different delimiter. So I can say, and like that, ignore empty. This is new. I can say true. You don't get this in array to text, and under the text, I can do that. So Ratana and Rani and Ratana and Rani and Rani. Ignoring duplicates, you can only do that if you combine it with a unique function, but I won't show that in this session because that is more sophisticated. So if you have some formats like this, you want to take it to other places, you can copy it and you can paste special, just Control-Alt-V or like that, and you have formats here. The other way I'm sure you're familiar with is you can use the format painter, but you probably didn't know that you can actually double click it. Double click it, you can lock it in, and that happens, and then that happens as well until you press escape or click there again. Here's one. If you have you want to make all of these quickly negative, you type -1 in a cell and you copy it, and here you paste special and you choose multiply. You can still choose any of these. So for example, here, if I just do all in multiply, it's going to take the white background. If I do values and number formats and multiply, it's going to do that. So that's probably what I would do. Here, yeah, when I pasted, I lost that. So let's bring those back. Control-Shift-3 there. Here's a useful one. If you need to copy and paste a table to a new worksheet, you don't get the right sizes, but what you can do is you can go to paste special and choose column widths like that. You get the same column widths as the original one. I use that one a lot. I think it's really useful. Control page up to go to previous sheet, control page up to page down to go to next sheet. Many people don't know those shortcuts, really useful. All right, you can also paste special with transpose. So if I select this, I can copy it. And if I want to flip it, so the rows become columns and the columns become rows, kind of like this, you can paste special, and then you have here transpose, and I can do values number formats again, and I get it looking like that. So this was a column before, this was a column before, and it is now flipped. Finally, if you want to paste between files, you can right click on a worksheet and choose move or copy, and then choose where you want to do it, to another file or a new workbook like that. Pretty useful as well. Skip blanks is an interesting one. So here I have a blank. Let's say that I'm going to have some new data like this. If I select all of that and then paste it here, my blank is going to be there. So if I paste regular, it's going to get rid of my blank, overwrite my blank. However, if I paste special skip blanks and I press OK, it will maintain that that was blank in my source copy data and keep what was in that cell in my destination. That one might be useful for you as well. Filtering. So probably a lot of people know how to do filters. Go to here and do it, or Control-Shift-L will add or remove them. And then let's say you filter for something like that. Here I'm using just the arrows and to navigate, and then Control and up will jump to the topmost cell with data. Alt down will open a filter menu or a drop-down list, and then use your arrows, untick select all, spacebar to select, and now it will select all of those. If you forget what is filtered, then you can hover over something and it will tell you. And many people don't know all of these, but there's actually 4 ways to know that data is filtered when you are looking at them. Most people know that the icon changes, they can see that. And most people know that you get a jump in these numbers here. But what many people don't know is that you also get these numbers appearing in blue, which is pretty good. So yeah, so that's an interesting one. A lot of people don't realize that these numbers appear in blue when you hover over them like that. And the 4th one, well, I only learned this when I was teaching it, and I asked people what the others were, and one of my students pointed this out, and I didn't know it was that. On the bottom left of your screen, it tells you 16 of 82 records found, which is pretty useful as well. That takes us to the quick access toolbar. Quick access toolbar is this. I beef this up. Most Excel users don't. This really saves me a lot of time. Now, what does this mean? It means I can access the things much faster. So things that I use a lot, top, bottom, double borders, like that. I'll use that one a lot. I wanted to get to that in 1 click. I use a lot of these ones. Not many people know these as well. Let me show it to you. If you want to get rid of, let's do it here. Yeah, there you go. Let's say you want to get rid of all the things in the cell. So if you press the delete button, it will just remove the data. And then you have to go here and remove the colors. Then you have to go here and remove the borders. And it's just going to take you so long. So I'm going to undo, Control-Z that. In the Home tab, though, you have the drop down next to the eraser or the rubber, and you can choose Clear All. Gets rid of everything in one go. I don't know why this isn't the default, and almost no one knows this exists. The other useful one here is Clear Formats. The other one, Clear Contents, is what happens when you press the delete. Clear All is Clear Formats plus Clear Contents all happening in one go. And I add these to the Quick Access toolbar so I can get to them wherever I am. Some other ones, Freeze Panes. It is way too deep. It is in the View tab. That's 1 click and a lot of moving. Then you have to go to Freeze Panes, again, a lot of moving, and then Freeze Panes up there. 3 clicks, something that we tend to use every day. There is no keyboard shortcut for this. So what I do is I would just get that looking there, where we got some good data for it. Here, for example, so I can select some cells and I can choose freeze panes, and that will freeze it there and there, like that. Perfect. So the other thing about these is that you can also create your own keyboard shortcuts for it. For example, there's no shortcut for wrap text. And I know that's in the Home tab, so it's not tedious and everyone knows how to get there, but I would like to have a shortcut, so I made one. So this one, I've added my wrap text here, and my Alt 2 is wrapping the text. Or auto-fit column widths. Again, something that if you have some columns like this and you want to double click them, I like being able to do this without my mouse, so I have it like this. And click on that, or Alt 1 will auto-fit column widths. Now, how do we get things in the quick access toolbar? Well, you can find a command that you really like, and then you can right click it, and you can choose add to quick access toolbar like that. If you haven't got it already, then it won't be grayed out like this. Or you can right click on any item in the ribbon and choose customize the ribbon. And then you can go to quick access toolbar like this. Bearing in mind, sometimes these are off by default now. It's a shame because I think they're absolutely invaluable for speed up. And here is why I recommend adding auto fit column width, wrap text, freeze panes if you want keyboard shortcuts that don't exist, comma style. So this is one that I've made through a macro. Then top and bottom double border, I use that one a lot. Clear formats and clear all. I showed you those now. These two are conditional formatting ones that I use quite a lot. Highlight the duplicate values, highlight text that contains what I say, and then data validation. The ones after that, I rarely use them, but if I need to get to something quickly, they are there. And these quick access toolbars exist not just in Excel, but in Word, OneNote, PowerPoint, Outlook, all of the Microsoft Office desktop apps, and I really, really like them. If you have your quick access toolbar, you can right click it. You can remove it, which is why, you can hide the quick access toolbar, which is why some people don't have it, and then show quick access when you right click something. But you can also show the command labels. This is the default now, and I think this is just taking up too much space. I don't think it's worth it. So I choose hide command labels, and I choose show below the ribbon, because above the ribbon with many styles, it will not show you the colors, so it's not very useful. So I find below the ribbon works much better than anything else. All right. So yeah, just a couple of final quick wins, I guess, if you like. In the View tab, you have the navigation pane. Many people don't know this exists, so this is fairly new. And you can navigate to your different worksheets like this. Get through it that way. Focus cell is a very new thing. Turn that on or off. As you can see, this is what it does. Find and replace automatically has focus cell, but if I go to that, let me show you some things. So keep the options open with new things. This is the important one. Within the default is sheet, and I thought that was the only thing you could do for my first 10 years of using Excel until I clicked on options, and then within I changed to workbook, and that will find something in your entire file. Got to be honest, I don't really ever use the other options, but within workbook, absolutely super, super useful. In the review tab, you have check performance, which is quite new. So what check performance does is it irons out if you've got some extra unused formatting. So if I click on it now, it has found some things. Let me click on it there. So there you go. So this cell has some unused formats. This cell has some unused formats and it's further away. If I want to trigger it manually, I can set this to be, say, yeah, this green, and then check again, and it will now show me this one that I just made like that. And if you want to make your entire file a lower file size, a smaller file size, and run quicker, you can click on Optimize All, and it will remove all of that thing. Look here, I'm only using a few cells, and the rest of them are just made artificially large in the file size. So yeah, that is something to bear in mind. That is in the Review tab. We also have Workbook Statistics, a quick win. Again, it's a small thing. It just shows you a few aspects of your Excel file. Nothing that's rocket science there. Something I use very, very sparingly, but it can be a really useful one as well. Cool. All right, so that's what I wanted to show you. Go into the summary now, and my summary is just very simply this slide again, which is I showed you number format automation and how you can do that within your control panel on your Windows to get rid of the decimal points that come out by default. Really useful to do that one time on your computer. I also showed you how to do K and M, million and thousand number formats, and some shortcuts. We looked at formula and pivot shortcuts. So get pivot data, remove that, do that one time, and it will do it forever. Then look at formulas. So you could drag down or double click or Control D to fill down. And also you can right click and choose fill without formatting if it's getting the wrong formatting that you're not expecting. We looked at some data setup shortcuts. So we looked at things like using the subtotal, things to fill in the blanks, if you remember that, which is pretty useful. Then we went into arranging data and filtering. That was really good. So 4 ways to test if your data is filtered. Look out for the blue numbers on the left. That is the best one that most people don't know. And hover over the icon to see what is being filtered. And then we looked at some copy and paste as well. So how you can paste special with just the column widths, how you can paste between workbooks, how you can use the ampersand to join text together, or then text join to do kind of like the sum version of adding together text values. And we looked at quick wins, for example, the quick access toolbar and how to beef that up and get it working for you. Feel free to take some suggestions from mine or come up with your own. Personally, I find I've spent years trying to get to the optimal one, and I think my first 10 items anyway are the optimal one for pretty much any user. Sure, a lot of people don't know clear all exists. A lot of people don't know conditional formatting for duplicate values exist. If you don't, then you should know that they exist because they are very useful. And yeah, showed you some other things like check performance and different view options as well. So that's what I wanted to cover with you today. So that was the summary. As I said, I have a YouTube channel and I will drop links in the chat to that in a second. But yeah, Chris, I hope you enjoyed that. And
yes, thanks a lot, David. Yes, I'm trying to put my camera on, but it doesn't want to go on. So it doesn't want, but at least you can hear me. So yeah. Let's see. Actually, I enjoyed your session personally, and I can tell you the ones that I liked. So the text to columns, month, date, year, MDY, that I liked. There was a go-to to select the ones in between. There were the fill without formatting. You can't recall it. That's where there's just 1 second, the top border, and you drag it down. It takes the top border. How you remove it?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
there's the filter one I knew, and yeah, there was some some good learnings for me, and please share the file also if you can.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah, I will do.
Okay, that's great. So I have some questions which we prepared with the team. So they are not from the live members in the chat. So I noticed in your profile you use humor to help people understand Excel. How do you use it to get your message across in Excel usually?
So yeah, good question. I have a few things. So I have a stand-up comedy show that I do that is about spreadsheets, and there I will make jokes about typical things that people do with spreadsheets, and usually it's enjoyed by audiences. And I'll also show some tips and tricks in a comedic way. And I think that a lot of those people, they wouldn't sign up for an Excel seminar. They would see it as
No.
boring and pointless,
No,
but they'd go to the show and then they'd learn some Excel tricks. So that's one way. And also I just incorporate a little bit of humor into my training sessions, especially the face-to-face ones. I find it's tricky to try and do humor on a one-way webinar where you don't know if people are reacting.
Yeah, I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not encouraging when you have people not reacting and not participating also. So
Yeah.
that's great when you're live. So Yams also jokes a lot in his sessions. So I don't know if you quote that from him or he quote that from you or whichever way it went, but he likes to use humor a lot. Which Excel feature in your mind would you like to add?
Would I like to what?
Which Excel feature would you like to add at the moment you feel that it's missing?
Would I like to add?
Yeah. Sorry, my accent is terrible.
Yeah, so for me, it is kind of just sort of speed up things to avoid shortfalls. So what would I like to add? I've got a long list, but I guess from what I showed you before, I think dealing with hierarchical data, getting Excel to autofill the blanks in between sections in one click would really help people a lot. I think that is something that a lot of people would use if they knew existed, but they don't know exists. Yeah, apart from that, I've got a whole long list, as I'm sure every other MVP does. That's maybe a different one.
Yeah, okay, I get you. So which one of your tricks that you found so far that impresses people a lot? Because I'm impressed with some of them. So which one you found had the most success in your courses?
Clear all, usually. No one knows that exists. And it's something that everyone's wanted to delete stuff in the spreadsheet. And I love that you show them how inefficient they are and how they're doing something in 7 clicks instead of 1. And everyone loves that. And it's
I agree.
And these are the kind of what I like to showcase in kind of like my webinars and my comedy shows are things that will appeal to you, whether you're someone who uses Excel for 1 hour a month or someone who uses Excel for 10 hours a day. And I think the clear all one is something that neither of those groups know, and both of those groups can see the use case for. So I love that one.
Yeah. It's the first time I see you. You remind me of someone. I can't get his name. Boboomlas tricks. You remind me of the tricks that Boboomlas used to present. You know him? Yeah.
Who?
Bob Umlas.
Yes, I know of him. I've never met him, but yeah, I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, you remind me of some of his tricks.
Yeah,
So,
Bob. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we've reached the end of this session. So thanks a lot for your time. And we could not make it on time, but at least we made it. Hope everybody will appreciate it on YouTube and we'll reach out to you for any comments. Thanks a lot, David.
I drop my links in the chat as well.
Yes,
if you want
please.
to follow me on those channels.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.